All right, welcome to this quick version of the Larch Madness card scenario that I've been stamping out. First of all, we did a half page on glossy right here. This is a quarter page on semi-gloss with a little bit of a different composition, but we're just trying to come up with some different variations of it to give some people some different options here. All right, so on this wood grain paper, it is a printed paper. It's a matte paper, and it's a pre-printed paper. So you have these printer inks giving you that wood grain look. So dye-based inks really don't stamp on it very well. So I'm going on here with a stays-on ink, okay? Now that might pose a problem when I want to color it with some alcohol inks, because alcohol inks will put the solvent styles of inks back into solution, get them a little bit smeary, but this is a pretty absorbent paper. So if I do get some smearing, what we'll do is we'll just spray seal it and then we'll color over the top of the spray sealant. Okay. All right. Now I want to get as many of these larches in here as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask that off like that. And then I'm going to go for some more of these trees from the right side of the image. Okay, I don't want two cabins in this scene, so I'm just going to be careful not to get those into the scenario here. Snap that out. I might get a little bit of that cabin, but I'll just fill it up with a little bit of a tree. Okay, so I see I have that cabin right there showing. So what I'm going to do is I'll just ink up this tree here on the full right side, and then we'll just stamp right over it. That's one of those things you can do in scenic stamping. You can just cover up anything that you don't want, or something that came out unintentional or is not as good as you wanted it to. You just cover it up with a tree or a branch or whatever you want. All right, so we have that stamped out there. And let's see, we'll wait for that to dry just a touch, and I'm going to stamp out. I really like this quote in this scene right here. And I'll just use a stays on that as well. Let's see, let me get this nice and straight. I might need to re-ink because stays on dries really fast. Okay, let's see here. All right, I'm getting it all over my fingers right there. All right, we'll get this printed out here. Forgive my head getting in the way. I don't like crooked quotes. Sometimes I do get them, though, because they don't really take too much time to position. We've got that all stamped out like that. And this area right down here should be reasonably dry, but we'll do a little test with some alcohol inks on it first. All right, let's go and test out our whatever alcohol ink ability on these trees. Okay, now we already have that printed background on there, so let's see how this is going to, if it's going to work out okay. I'm getting a little bit of smeary kind of effects of the alcohol ink putting the stays on back into solution a little bit. It's not too bad though. It's not too bad at all. When I go like this, though, I don't see any of that stays on coming off of with my brush tip right here, so it tells me that it's not too bad. As I said, this is a matte paper, so a lot of the paper is has absorbed the ink there, so there's not a lot of surface ink on this type of paper. It's just, like I said, it's really just inexpensive paper. Very cool, though, and really fun to use. Okay, so that was one color right there. Let's see if we have a little bit of a brighter kind of canary yellow here. This wood grain paper, this alcohol ink's really absorbing into the paper, as you can see, like that. So there's not a lot of that ink on the surface, okay? And I want some pretty bright tones in here to reflect down in that water reflected area. All right, and this is called Larch Madness, so of course we want to kind of emphasize the golden kind of tones of the larches. Let's hit this area down here with a little bit of brown in this shoreline area, like that. And I'm just hitting it with some alcohol ink, but I think what I want to do is I want to go into there and add a little bit of shading with some colored pencil, okay? And colored pencils really give you a lot of control. So what I'm doing is I'm making the area where it transitions into the water area, you know, the gold foil, a little bit darker here. And just for the sake of this video, you can watch my other videos where I've stamped the lower portion of this card like I just did last night. I'm not going to redo that for this video because it's just 3 impressions basically on a piece of foil, but you use the StazOn on there, okay? So this is the piece that I did, and these are some yellow paint pen marks. You can see I have like a cup here or something. But 2 impressions of the pines and rocks, boulders with lichen right there. And what this is going to look like is that right there. So you can see where that transition into the water is a little bit darker down there. I can go a little bit darker too, so let's do that. What happens is when you place this next to that gold foil like that and pair it with the gold foil, that light reflects back up here and it kind of illuminates the card a little bit more because you have lighting from above and then below as well. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. So you get this warm light being reflected back up into the scene. Okay, so those are the alcohol inks on there. Let's illuminate this now more with some paint pens, paint markers. So this is a 3mm paint marker. And that's really standing out quite a bit there. Usually these paint markers, when they dry, they kind of move more towards transparency, okay? And they're not transparent as in like a dye-based ink or an alcohol ink, but they just get a little bit darker when they've been applied on something that's darker. So that's what I usually do with lighter tones like this. You apply it on something that's a little bit darker, and that makes them stand out, okay? So I'm adding that in there to give this kind of a fall-toned, backlit, shimmering foliage look to the scene. Okay. Go like that. And I think for this one, I think I am going to bring in a little bit of the, this one's a little bit of a duller yellow, okay? And we'll pair that up. It's a little bit, it's kind of moving toward the color of that. It's not that color, it's just kind of in between this canary yellow and the wood grained coloring, okay? And then I am going to take my white paint pen and I'm going to illuminate, if I can, those windows in this cabin here. So in this case, this white will be the lightest thing in the scene here, so it kind of stands out a little bit more. The wood grain paper is fairly light, but it is darker than white. So in these windows, I'm adding that little bit of illumination like that. Kind of makes the cabin seem a little bit more three-dimensional too. And then we'll add in a little bit of highlighting on some of these rocks. And that highlighting and illumination in the windows should, it should read very well in the reflected area for our reflection card. Let me see, let me shake this up a little bit right here. All right, now I like to kind of add a little bit of highlighting into my tree trunks. About like so. All right. Kind of gives them a little bit of structure. You can do some secondary types of branches coming off of them too. Gives the trees a little bit of structure and stability, I guess. I'll add a few highlights to some of the imagery as well, like on the top of this rooftop, maybe a little bit. Like I said, on the rocks. These highlights are already kind of designed in the design, so I'm just kind of going in there and reiterating it a little bit. All right, let's take a look and see how this is looking right here. All right. Now what we're going to do, what I've been doing, which I think is really fun, because you can do or not. You can do any of these things or not, but I'm going to take some of this holographic chunky glitter, okay? There's all kinds of different colors in this type of glitter. And I am using, I think, the canary yellow. And it adds a little bit of kind of excitement into the surface. This is just your standard kind of detailed crafting glue at that very narrow kind of nose. Put a pretty decent little dollop of glue there because you want that glitter to kind of grab onto the surface and to adhere really well. And we're just going to apply this on here. I'm just using a gem picker. And you might be asking, wouldn't it be just good to lay those little dots of glue down, just sprinkle some glitter on there and pour it over that? Sometimes when I've done that in the past, that's what I started trying to do. But then I get like this cluster of glitter all kind of connected to one little dot. And this doesn't take too long to do. It's almost like a little game of I don't know, not quite Operation, that old game, but it's much easier than that. sometimes when you can't see this glitter very well at certain angles, it does reflect in the water area really well. So when we think of glitter, we think of really flashy kind of, you know, attention-getting kind of touches, which it certainly can be, but it can also be fairly subtle, believe it or not. Just kind of depending, I don't know if it's the holographic type specifically or what. But yeah, at certain angles you can't even see the glitter. And you know, at certain angles it's one color, then lighting is hitting it in another way and it's a different color. So it's kind of interesting, kind of twinkles that way. All right, let's see. I put on a little bit extra there, but like that. You get that little glitter in there, and we have this down like that. This would be good to make those trees kind of white or something like that, and with us like a silver glitter. I can see this, and we have snowy terrain down here too. But yeah, look at that little bit of glitter there. I don't know. I think it adds in that little element of, like I said, some excitement. And like I said, at certain angles, it doesn't really glitter, you know, shine that much. I don't know. For some reason, on the wood grain paper, it, you know, you can see it quite a bit. Or on the white paper, it doesn't show as much. I think. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that one's pretty twinkly. All right, so there's your wood grain paper version of Larch Madness. Okay, now you see that yellow in there. That yellow isn't quite as strong anymore, I don't think. Let me see something right here. Let's go in here like this. Yeah, that the glitter twinkle is pretty bright. I might go over some of that glitter with a little dollop of glue, so maybe that'll make that glitter a little bit more integrated too. Let me try that here. So maybe instead of that big, huge piece of glitter on there, it's kind of like a half, you know, acrylic and, you know, half glitter showing. Let's see how that looks. I want a little bit more of this kind of yellowy brightness. But like I said, when this dried on the paper, it absorbed into the paper a little bit, so it wasn't quite as extreme. One of the things, too, I forgot to do is I forgot to kind of add in some of these leaves down on the ground right in here, which would, you know, if it's, we saw these, or I guess needles for the larches. There we go. That is a little more like it. Now I might have to adjust a little more too as this dries. That won't be quite as yellow up there, but I don't know, certainly festive. All right, so that is your wood grain paper in the Larch Madness scenario. It seems to be opening up more doors for me now. When I look at it, I can totally see this in like a real wintry type of scenario. I see like snowy covered, snowy shoreline right here. Maybe not in the wood grain paper, but I would do kind of more bluish tones in here, like silvery, you know, tones in there, and maybe the larches could be more like you know, like a snowy snow-covered, snow-dusted tree limbs or something like that. Or maybe they wouldn't be so much larches, but they will be more of an evergreen conifer type of tree. All right, so anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And thanks as always for tuning in to the Stampscapes channel.